I grew up in a quiet northern village, nothing special, really. And for as long as I can remember, I dreamed of leaving it behind, chasing the big city lights. There was no fire in the people around me, no passion. It always felt like real life was happening somewhere far away, just not here. Maybe that's how it always is when you're 20 full of drive and illusions. But eventually, it hits you. That wasn't life. Not really. I was 38 when I suddenly saw myself from the outside. No family, no place to call mine, no future I could picture. Just a massive concrete city, cold and hollow. That's when I decided I needed to go back, home. I wanted to feel that forgotten peace, that quiet harmony I once knew. And to my surprise, the place hadn't changed much. The pines still stood like sentinels. The forest smelled just like I remembered. The river was shallower, sure. And the old wooden bridge had rotted away, just bones now. But somehow, it all felt right. Comforting, familiar. I never went back to the city after that. I moved into my parents' old house. It had been sitting empty for years. The place needed work, wiring, plumbing, you name it. But I didn't care. For the first time in decades, I felt at peace. I felt at home. The next day, I was walking to the butcher's when I ran into an old classmate, Jäger. "Whoa, look who crawled out of the past. Where have you been hiding?" he laughed. We shook hands. His eyes lit up, it was genuine. You know, here and there. I mumbled awkwardly. "Last time I saw you was your mom's funeral." "What, 5 years back?" "Yeah, around that." I nodded. She was old. I'd made peace with losing her. Death comes for all of us eventually. She left me the house. I remembered the wiring issues and asked Yegor, "Hey, didn't Uncle Misha the electrician used to live nearby? You got his number by any chance?" Yegor looked at me like I'd asked something strange. "You can't call the dead, man. Mikalich is gone. A cow trampled him." "A cow?" "Yeah, he was drunk. Got into it with the neighbor's bull or something. Cracked a few ribs. Didn't make it." "Damn, poor guy." "Well, listen," he said. "Remember his son, Lyoka? He's the one doing all the wiring now. Followed in Dad's footsteps?" I asked. "Hopefully, not all of them." Yegor chuckled. "You haven't changed one bit." He gave me Lyoka's number, and that same day I called him up. Simple fix, he wrapped some wires with tape, bypassed the meter box in 2 spots, and boom, lights came back on. I tried to pay him, but he said he'd take liquid currency instead. And just like that, Zhilov and I became friends. Like most folks in the village, Lyoka led a simple rural life. He kept chickens, 4 pigs, and his wife stayed home with the kids. She didn't care much for the city either. I liked the pace of village life. It was simple and steady, but for a long time I couldn't figure out where I fit in. I even thought about working at the sawmill, until one day I was cleaning out the shed and came across my father's old double-barrel shotgun. It was worn, but still functional. As I unwrapped it from the cloth, I felt my heart start to beat faster. When I was a kid, Dad used to take me hunting with him. Back then I barely understood anything and was too scared to look at the game we brought home. But time had changed a lot, including me. There were still some shells in the box, so I took a few and headed into the forest. I wandered among the tall fir trees, hoping to find some game by chance. After 3 hours I spotted a hare, but it practically laughed at my clumsy shots. So I came back empty-handed. My ears rang from the gunshots, but I felt certain this was just the beginning. Nobody's born knowing how to do anything. Skills come with time, effort, and repetition. If I didn't get it right the first time, I'd get it on the 2nd, or the 3rd, or the 10th. It was only a matter of time. And I was right. Hunger makes you resourceful, after all. 4 months later, I knew all the best hunting spots. I bought a new shotgun and could hit targets from a distance. I picked up tricks of the trade and even got a hunting license. I became the local hunter, made money selling meat, and I was proud of it. My life in the village was slowly coming together, but I couldn't say the same for everyone else. It started when old Baba Masha approached me. She was the kind old woman who used to look after me when I was a kid. Even now, on holidays, she'd still bring me pancakes. "Vanyushka, wait." She called to me and waddled over as quickly as her body would let her. "What's wrong, Baba Masha?" I stopped and asked. "You haven't seen Marta, have you?" "Marta, who's that?" I didn't understand. "My goat, sweetheart. White with smart eyes, you'd recognize her." "No, Baba Masha, haven't seen her." "Did she run off?" "I don't know, Vanyusha. Maybe someone stole her. Marta was clever, she was. Sometimes I'd forget to shut the pen at night, but she'd head in all by herself to sleep in the shed. But this time I know, I locked the door. Next morning, I go out to open the shed and Marta's gone. And the goat, where did she go? That rascal of a Billy runs off every spring, but Marta. All right. Granny Masha, I got it. I'll go hunting anyway, might as well look for your goat. Maybe she wandered into the woods. Oh, Vonyushka, thank you, dear, thank you. At the time, I didn't think much of her worry. But soon, stories like hers started surfacing every day. One neighbor's entire chicken coop vanished and only feathers remained. Another found half their hens torn apart, the rest dragged away. The house across the street lost 2 cats. They went out into the yard and just disappeared. People started setting traps. At first, we figured it was just foxes raiding at night. But foxes don't carry off entire lambs. Then someone stole a whole calf from the Aphonians. That's when panic really started to set in. Who or what could do something like that? The sun was dipping behind the silhouettes of tall trees. The air was cooling fast. A single cloud hung low in the sky. I was walking briskly home from the forest across the fields, dreaming of a warm house and a hot meal. I'd managed to bag 3 hares that day. Any other time, I'd have called it a good hunt. But with so many people out of meat and livestock, demand had outgrown what I could supply. The mood in the village was grim. Everyone had lost something. I was following a trail when I happened to glance left then turned back. There was something there. Not an animal, but not human either. Picture this. Something tall and emaciated. It stood like a beast, back arched, resting on 2 limbs. Its head hung low and misshapen, like a sack full of bones. Long legs and one freakishly long arm. I just stood there, staring. Birds flew overhead, rushing back to the woods for the night. The grass swayed in the wind. And that thing. It stood still, in the middle of the field. Motionless. Where was it? I couldn't make it out in the dark. Too afraid to get closer. Even with my shotgun. There are no animals like that. And no people look like that either. That thing looked like walking misfortune. Like a living curse. If only I had more guts, I'd have raised my gun and blown the bastard apart. But I didn't. I froze. A few days later, Lyocha called. Invited me over. Said he'd found something strange. When I stepped onto his porch, a wave of warmth hit me. I took off my coat and dropped my backpack by the door. "Hey, Vanyuk, dinner's almost ready," said Zhilov, nodding toward the kitchen. The house was filled with the smell of roasting meat. Something was cooking in the oven. Sonia hovered by the fridge, quietly greeted me, her face distant. I took a seat, and Zilov poured something strong into shot glasses. "So how are things? Anything new?" I asked, breaking the silence. "Things are shit," he said, and downed the shot in one go. "What happened?" I asked, feeling the tension rise. 30 geese, 10 hens. "And Hrundel?" Zhilov growled. He slammed the glass down. "They're all gone. Taken. Can you believe it? All my work, all my savings. I spent a year feeding them, cleaning up shit, living like a beggar. And now this." His voice broke. I patted him on the back, then pulled him into a hug. "We'll figure this out, I promise." Sonia pulled the roast goose from the oven and set it on the table. "Eat, while there's still something left," she said, and left to check on the kids. "Zhilov, we're not gonna starve. I swear. I tried to reassure him. There's still game in the forest and I've got a gun. Your gun, he interrupted me. I need it. You've lost your mind. If you shoot a person, I'll be the one doing time. I snapped, downing my drink. It's not a person. He ripped into a goose leg with his teeth. That thing, whatever the hell it is, slaughtered half my livestock last night. I saw it with my own eyes. There was noise in the coop, screaming birds. I ran out and just froze. Three-legged, deformed. I don't even know what to call it. It had human-like eyes, but it wasn't human. It saw me and bolted. I was trying to clean up the massacre, and then I heard the kids screaming. I dropped everything and ran back into the house. What happened? A chill ran down my spine. It was staring through the window. Zhilov said with a dead look in his eyes, covered in blood and feathers. My eldest saw it first and screamed. Sonia and I rushed in, but by then it had vanished. Vanished where? I asked, almost afraid to hear the answer. The pigsty, he whispered. It distracted me with the chickens, just to get to the pig. She didn't even leave any bones. I heard the pig squealing, but I couldn't leave the kids. And after all that nightmare, you think I'm gonna go back to the woods and shoot game? No way. There's only one beast I wanna shoot. And I'll lie in wait for it in my best clothes if I have to. I'll avenge everyone. For the kids, for the neighbors, for the chickens, the geese, and for Boris. Lyuha threw a bone on the table. Boris who? I asked, confused. The pig. Lyuha poured himself another shot, winced. Got it, I nodded. I thought it'd be easy. The creature was big. If we can hit rabbits, we shouldn't miss this thing. Lyuha was sure the beast would return sooner or later. There was still enough livestock left on his land to lure it in. I was nervous, of course. That thing was terrifying, something out of a nightmare. But I kept telling myself I've got a gun. I figured I'd shoot the monster and become a local hero. The next night, Lyuha and I set up an ambush. He waited in his yard. I hid behind the fence closer to the woods. I waited like that for at least 2 hours. But the night was bitterly cold, and I wasn't dressed warm enough. I started freezing. I was just about to head over to Lyuha's place and ask for some tea when I saw it. That three-legged thing gliding silently. It moved in jerky lips, no sound, not even breathing. I quickly sent Lyuha a voice message. Lyuha, I see it. I wanted him to be ready, but the thing didn't head to his place. It went for the neighbors. I didn't even have time to raise my gun before it leapt over the fence. My heart was pounding like a drum. I froze, didn't know whether to go in or not. Took the safety off, tried to decide or stay. Suddenly there was a commotion in the house. Lights on, screaming, chaos. A woman screamed bloody murder, and then the three-legged beast burst back out, with something in its jaws. It was clutching a big bird in its mouth, still struggling. White feathers flew everywhere. That's it, you're dead, I said, aiming my gun. I knew I wouldn't miss. The thing turned toward me. Boom. A heavy lead bullet slammed into it mid-run. I don't know where I hit it, but it went tumbling, ass over end. Damn right it did. That kind of ammo could knock out 2 bulls. It was twitching on the ground. I grew bolder. I moved in with the gun, ready to finish it with a kill shot. I looked at it and froze. What the hell is that? A tall creature with an elongated torso. Its ribs showed through its skin. Its legs ended in feet that looked human. One arm, it had one completely human arm, with long fingers and claws. The second arm, it wasn't even there, not even a shoulder joint. And the face, what kind of face was that? Huge, dark eyes, an elongated snout, and massive jaws, with big, pointed teeth. Its mouth was so wide, it could easily swallow a human head. What did I just shoot? The bullet had hit the creature in the side. There was a black wound, but not a drop of blood. I knew I should put another round in its head just to be sure. But while I hesitated, the creature punched me in the face. The blow was so strong it knocked me off my feet. My ears were ringing. My jaw felt like it shattered. Leo and some others ran up. I could hear their voices, but I couldn't make out what they were saying. The creature fled, even with a gaping wound in its side. People saw it disappear into the woods. All that was left behind was the body of a white goose, so my bullet only grazed it. I pissed off the tripod, and with one punch it messed up my ear, cracked my jaw, and dislocated my eye. I spent the next week in a city hospital. When I came back, I found the whole village in chaos. We realized the creature had been stealing livestock because it was sparing us. But now that we'd started a war, the beast showed us just how ruthless it could be. A teenager went missing, a 14-year-old boy. He stepped outside to give the dog some scraps from dinner. All the parents heard was a short scream. Then, silence. His father ran outside and saw in the distance the tripod running away, dragging a small, thin body along the ground. The boy was gone. No one's seen him since. It's been several days. Then another horrible tragedy happened. Remember I told you about my old school friend Diego? That night the creature broke into his house. By morning, terrible news spread through the village. There was blood everywhere, and the windows were shattered. Yegor and his family were dead, murdered without reason. Their necks were broken, and their bodies thrown into different rooms. And the worst part was they had two small children. They disappeared, and something told us they would never be found. Panic began to spread. An entire family was gone. Who's next? Some packed up their things and left the village. Others tried to figure out how to fortify their homes. As for me and a few other men, we decided the creature had to be caught and destroyed. There was no other way. I managed to wound it, so it can be killed. But not alone. We gathered a group of 12 men. There were only 5 rifles between us. The rest brought whatever they could find. One had a machete, another brought a sharpened shovel. A third carried a fireman's crowbar. We decided it was best to head into the woods during daylight. The plan was simple. Stay together, find its lair, and kill it. There I was, among 11 tough men, a rifle slung over my shoulder, and still scared out of my mind. We knew exactly what area we had to search. The creature always came from the same part of the forest, right at the edge of the field. I usually avoided that part. The place felt dead. Just tangled undergrowth, fallen rotting trees. No animals ever went there, and even the birds stayed silent. They probably knew it was a lair, a predator's den. We made our way into that overgrown hell, pushing through broken branches. The men cursed, whispering to each other about what they'd do when they caught the beast. "Rope around its neck and hang it from the oak," said one. "Let the birds peck it clean." "No point hanging it," grunted the guy with the machete. "I'll chop it into pieces." I didn't like their overconfidence. If only they had seen what I saw. While I was in the hospital, that giant, tooth-filled maw haunted my dreams every night. Some of the men rushed ahead, too eager to find something. "Guys, we agreed not to split up," I reminded them. But no one listened. That part of the woods was strange. Even though the weather was sunny, it felt cursed. Everywhere you looked, darkness. The tree canopies hung thick above us, forming a solid ceiling that barely let sunlight through. The beams that did break through were weak. Then suddenly someone screamed ahead of us. We all glanced at each other and moved forward. We made our way to the clearing, moving as fast as we could. I lagged a bit behind, but the guys rushed ahead as fast as they could. Those in front suddenly stopped and froze, like standing at the edge of an abyss. One of the men shouted, "What are you standing there for? Help me get out. Pull me out of here." I ran over to the guys and froze too. We were standing at the edge of a pit filled with dead animal carcasses. A whole swamp of rotten flesh and bones. Flies swarmed in clouds above the corpses, and the stench was unbearable. It felt like you could die from poisoning just by being near it. And in the middle of this rot, our guy was flailing with a crowbar. He'd rushed too fast and fell into the pit. He might have gotten out, but he was covered in pus and blood. Go home and wash up, or you'll catch some infection, I advised. Sorry guys, he said. So he was the only fighter left from our group. The man left, and we stayed standing at the edge of the pit. At first I wondered how long this thing had been around. It had probably been terrorizing the area for 3 or 4 years. This pit was like its dumping ground. There were half-eaten deer carcasses, rotting pig heads, goat skulls, and even human bones. I noticed them at the same time as the others. We were shocked when we saw a large white cage and a head with its face completely torn off inside it. "In the jam," said the man with the rifle. Another added, "We won't come back until we kill that beast." Everyone was angry. Everyone wanted revenge. We circled the pit and moved on. I looked around, thinking where the beast might be hiding. Maybe it has a den, or maybe it's up in the trees. It probably wouldn't let itself be killed easily. It wouldn't be simple. Now me and the other men with rifles led the way. The guys with melee weapons covered our backs. And again, the tangled thickets underfoot. The ground cracked like wet rags. Dead trees stood all around, without a single leaf. Above us was a dull grey cloud. Suddenly, a sharp scream came from behind. One of our men was grabbed. The beast attacked from behind, the man clarified, biting him on the neck. Soon he stopped screaming, almost choking, gasping for blood. The beast tried to run, but its distance was too great. "Shoot!" one of the guys shouted. He dropped the half-decapitated body and tried to run, but we quickly reloaded and rushed to chase it down. I got close enough to take aim. The creature raised its head. My bullet pierced its skull. Other guys joined in and started firing. Bullets tore through its entire body. Not even blood came out of it. The three-legged thing writhed on the ground, kicking its legs, scratching the dirt with its arms, as if still hoping to get away. A guy with a club ran up and struck its head hard. The creature froze. We couldn't take our eyes off the mangled body for a long time. It was something unreal before us. Some kind of undead. Appeared from nowhere. I crouched down and touched its skin. It felt as hard as stone. It gave off coldness, like ice, said the guy who hit it with the club. Then he looked at the club's blade in surprise. It was perfectly clean. That thing was also heavy. We tied a rope around its neck and dragged it for almost an hour. Then we finally realized we couldn't handle it ourselves. There were too many fallen trees in that part of the forest. And just as we were about to call for help, the rope slipped out of our hands. The three-legged thing came back to life, and it ran off somewhere, deep into the thicket. We couldn't catch it, even with bloodthirsty courage. After what happened, our unit sent a special squad. The fighters combed the forest, but found no trace. They only brought out the body of our guy, and returned human remains from the burial pit. All photos and recordings were ordered deleted from phones. They said everything had to be kept secret until the investigation ended. So much time has passed already. It's Sunday now. That terrifying forest creature never showed up again. Life in the village slowly started to look normal again. But everyone remembers what happened here. Some people even put bars on their windows at night. They lock themselves up, like in bunkers. And since then, I haven't gone hunting even once. We're all afraid that the three-legged thing might come back from the forest one day.